The liberal media is holding a therapy session to figure out why viewers hate them after Stephen Colbert got canned.
There's a lot of personal stuff in the book. I mean, poor Dougie.
You're blowing the lid off of Doug? What's going on?
For example, my birthday's in October. The election's in November. You see where I'm going?
I don't see where she's going.
And
Ex-ABC host Terry Moran, who was fired for a severe case of TDS, is now blaming his former network for having anti-Trump bias. How rich? In part, he writes this. ABC News has the same problem so many leading cultural institutions do in America, a lack of viewpoint diversity.
And I was proud to ask Kamala Harris to run with me, be the first black woman to serve as Vice President of the United States. It was important. As president, I made the cause of civil rights and equality the foundation of everything I did. For example, I promised to have an administration that looked like America.
And apparently this is what they want America to look like. The left, Democrats, had no problem with Beyonce wearing a pair of jeans, but now all of a sudden if Sydney Sweeney does it, well, then it's a problem. And why is that?
This is how a bad bitch saves democracy. You hoes couldn't even spell democracy. Ha!
Most really triggered you is there's no tampons in the men's room at Facebook headquarters.
I don't mind tampons in men's rooms because when I go to bars, I get in fights. I usually get a bloody nose and I run to the men's room and usually nothing there. That never bothered me.
All right. Well, I'm just happy that Carrie Underwood is performing. When a straight blonde female is singing at the inauguration, I think we're back. I think we're definitely back.
Carrie Underwood. I mean, thank God Kamala didn't win. We would have had to see Lizzo's ass for 45 minutes.
All right.
Or Tupac. I know Tupac's dead, but not according to Kamala.
One of many reasons we're happy that Kamala didn't win.
I'm so proud to be from this city. You know, they say if Kamala wins, then the whole country will be like Detroit. Okay? Proud like Detroit. Resilient like Detroit.
Thank you, Lord. We dodged a big bullet there. And here you see Detroit, Michigan, circa 1950s. And I can't show you that and keep this video in the green and making money, but let's just say that these young boys found out. But this is the Detroit you have today. Here's what the city looks like. And take a look. These are the latest headlines making breaking news on YouTube today. Nightmarish, high crime, and insane record-breaking levels of theft. Oh, and this one here. Gunman opens fire, shooting 2 children sleeping inside their Detroit home. But the media they don't really want to report on what is really happening in America right now.
Well, I think a major organization of the national security apparatus, at least here at the White House within the National Security Council, has indeed taken place, and the president entrusts his current CIA director, John Ratcliffe, and our ODNI director, Tulsi Gabbard, to make the necessary changes to ensure classified intelligence, especially that could implement or hurt the national security of our country, does not make its way into the hands of irresponsible actors who want to politicize that intelligence for their own end. Since you brought up the declassification report that was put out by Senator Grassley today, I'm glad you brought it up because this should be a story every outlet in this room should be covering. This is further evidence that Hillary Clinton approved the Russia hoax against President Trump. Her campaign financed it. Again, she approved it. And the FBI and the CIA were both weaponized to, as our director of CIA has said, accelerate this hoax against then candidate and former President Trump. to answer the heart of your question, the president wants to see justice served, and he trusts the Attorney General and the Department of Justice to implement that justice and hold these people accountable.
And former late-night talk show host Samantha Bee, remember her, has seen the light, saying the decision to cancel Colbert was a no-brainer.
It definitely was hemorrhaging money. I don't think that that's, these legacy shows, like, they are hemorrhaging money with no real end to that.
Canceled. They all should be. And speaking of hemorrhaging money, check this one out. I'll put it up on the screen. I showed this to my wife last night, and she was flabbergasted. HGTV in serious trouble, it says here, and $41 billion debt crisis. I really just wonder how far this crisis stretches. This stretches its reach, because the Quartering dropped this alarming title and thumbnail that has me a little nervous over here and wondering if I'll be able to stay employed and make rent. Apparently, the worst is yet to come. They're banning YouTube, it says, and YouTube, Spotify, Reddit, and more to be banned? We need to pay attention. And he's right. We do need to pay attention. Seniors are hemorrhaging money, wasted on high healthcare costs and outrageous premiums, ripping folks off. Inflation's bad enough as it is, and people need all the help that they can get to save and avoid wasting money on Medicare. Chapter has helped so many, thousands even, and they're saving on average $1,100. Money going back into their Social Security, and it's truly a lifesaver. Some saving less, but others saving more, and even upwards of $4,000 or more in some cases. That could be life-changing for someone who's retired and living on a fixed income right now. And these folks made the call to the number that you guys see on the screen, and thank God that they did. Chapter's unbiased, friendly, knowledgeable, and they search through thousands of plans to help people every day on Medicare. Enrollment, open and annual periods are approaching, closing in on fast. But time is of the essence, and you don't want to miss out. Especially right now, and with the most recent legislature and bills, proposals passing through the House and Senate, Congress, trust me, you're not going to want to miss out on the savings. And did you know that Chapter's team of experts have even found opportunities to save people money when they thought it wasn't possible due to special circumstances and provisions in Medicare, like major life-changing events, relocation, and other opportunities that give seniors a helping hand outside of annual enrollment periods that have saved them a tremendous amount? Pick up the phone, dial 270-467-2426, and talk to my friends at Chapter. I put their info in the description and pinned comment for you as well.
Yeah. In sight. People are just not tuning in. So I shocked, not surprised.
The only question B seemed to ignore is why people are tuning out.
Dougie kind of dropped the ball on my big birthday.
He didn't get you anything?
Oh, you have to read the book.
All right, just tell me the page. Tell me the page.
If I worked with somebody who cackled uncontrollably like that, I think I'd take myself out. I really do. I don't think I could stand it. Now imagine the country being subjected to that imbecile every day. Oh my gosh. I don't like to think about it.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
This could be why. So far this year, the not-so-lovely ladies of The View have had 102 liberal guests on the show and 0 conservatives. And they spew nonsense like this.
We just marked last week Trump's 100th day in office.
These moments are not normal. This is not normal.
We are united in going after Trump.
Mock him. That's the kryptonite to malignant narcissists.
You talked about how the skin tone of people who are being rounded up is different, how you're treated.
Yeah.
This is not breaking news, but it is.
It seems to be breaking news to a lot of people.
Breaking news.
Stuck in traffic. I'm remembering right now. Wow. I'm wrong a lot. We don't like to say it. We don't like to admit it. We really don't like to correct it. But that is how you grow and you get to a better place. And it is such a precious commodity right now. I've been wrong. I've been wrong about political issues. I've been wrong about people. I've been wrong about myself. I've been wrong about my responsibilities. I've been wrong about my opinions, my tastes, my choices. I've been wrong. And that's okay. Hopefully you learn. Hopefully when you're wrong, you get to a better place if you do the work, unless you stubbornly hold on. And that's where so much of us are stuck. It's not just being wrong, it's refusing to learn what's right. I've been wrong. Have you been wrong? If you say no, you're wrong.
I'm not too proud to say that I am wrong about Trump. I'm a proud Democrat.
How so?
And he's done a lot of things. Immigration. I'm happy about what's happening with immigration. I thought the stock market would tank, and I'm pretty happy with my 401k. There's a few things that I just thought things would go wrong, and I'm very happy.
Well, that is big of you to say. It'll probably lose you some friends in this polarized environment that we're in right now. But there's nothing wrong with being happy with results, no matter who gives them to you, right? So I appreciate your candor. Next.
And you know what? A lot of calls saying the exact same thing. And the sad part is that she feels that she can't say it, you know?
That's the sad part. That is the sad part. And when you do come out and say it, what does the left do? What are Democrats just anxiously waiting, ready, willing, and able to pounce on one of their own and who finally decides to wake up and speak the truth? Well, yeah, they try to cancel you.
I owe my followers, my community, and all of social media an apology. A few days ago, I reposted an old video of me in the gym wearing a Hulk Hogan Halloween costume on the day that he passed. Last night in my live stream, a lot of people expressed how upset and frustrated they were with me that I had posted that. Instead of listening and understanding like I should have, I became defensive and said that I was posting to celebrate the wrestling icon, the person that so many of us looked up to as kids that we grew up with, that made us tear our shirts and take our vitamins and say our prayers. I didn't know to the extent of all the horrible things that he had done.
What happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Since last night, I have done a lot of research, talked to a few people, and learned all of the horrible, horrible things that that man has done, which is way more than just making a mistake and being human. So because of that, I have taken the videos down, and I apologize to anybody that I offended. I am sorry. Also, during last night's live stream, I used the word colored instead of saying person of color, which is a very outdated, very offensive term. A few moments later, somebody educated me and told me that it wasn't okay to use that, which I immediately apologized to everyone and said I would never do that again. So once again, to anybody that I offended, I am sorry. You know, my whole page, my whole brand is based on holding people accountable and doing better. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't hold myself to the same standards. I am human. I am still growing. I am still learning. And I promise all of you, I will do better. I have nothing but love and kindness in my heart. I will continue to try to make the world a better place. And once again, to everybody, I apologize.
Do you think Joey's in the wrong? Do you think he should be canceled or deserves to be drugged or dragged the way he is right now? And what do you think about the Hulkster? May he rest in peace. Or better yet, should we expect more cancel culture to come our way and make landfall right here in Florida after Governor Ron DeSantis said this?
Hulk Hogan's cause of death has been revealed 1 week after the wrestler passed away in Clearwater. According to the medical examiner, Hogan died of a heart attack. The autopsy report also showed Hogan had atrial fibrillation as well as a history of leukemia. Governor DeSantis has declared tomorrow as Hulk Hogan Day in Florida and ordered flags to be flown at half-staff in his honor.
Just as a Floridian, as somebody that grew up in West Central Florida, I was sad to see the news that Hulk Hogan passed away today. He was a major icon for anybody in Gen X. I can tell you, growing up then in the 80s and particularly the early 90s, he was really big. And he actually really was a star first before even he was Hulkamania, but when he was Thunder Lips in Rocky III. And that was like a huge deal. I mean, obviously that was a great movie franchise with Sylvester Stallone. So he was Thunder Lips, and then a couple years later became the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. And, as a young kid, I'm growing up and it's like, that was like somebody's like, wow, that's our superhero kind of deal. And the fact that he was from a Tampa Bay area when I'm growing up there, I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy lives in our area. And, back then when they would do these big events like WrestleMania, you could go to it, which obviously I wasn't in a position to be able to go to. But they didn't have even pay-per-view where you would pay for it to come on the cable. They had closed circuit, so you could go to like a venue and they would play it on like a really big screen. And so like the first few WrestleManias, I think, were like that. And I remember WrestleMania 3.
Governor Ron posted this on his X account, and it says, in honor of a great Floridian, Hulk Hogan, we are lowering the flags at the Capitol and in Pinellas County tomorrow. Additionally, I'm officially declaring tomorrow, August 1st, which is today, 2025, as Hulk Hogan Day in Florida. Rest in peace, brother. And I don't know how this is going to affect his future in politics and his career, but I do expect to see Ron make a run for president, especially since his term as governor will expire next year. And there's a quote from a movie I watched that really resonates with me right now, and it's, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Was it nice to see Samantha Bee again, Greg?
She's a lovely person. Look, I think when people keep saying this is the death knell for late night, I'm going to disagree. It could be freeing for the few that are left to leave the fold. Colbert's firing, it's true. It is about a lack of viewpoint diversity and the financial disaster that it caused. That is a message to the other guys that now you have an argument against doing not just partisan politics, but any politics. You don't have to do it. You could be like Carson or Leno. This is, after all, it's supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to send your viewers home angry, which is, I think, what these shows were doing. I am doing Jimmy Fallon next week.
Yes,
I'm psyched about it because Fallon comes across as a great guy, nice guy. And also me going on his show shows him he's not worried about upsetting his peers. Remember, he got a lot of stick for humanizing Trump when he tousled his hair, but it didn't come from anybody but the people on the left who wanted to teach all entertainers a lesson that if you dare show that Trump is a human, then you're toast. And so it's kind of nice that he's taking this risk. And I know, Harold, you're excited because I'll be on with the Jonas Brothers. They're actual brothers, unlike the Doobie Brothers.
Gutfeld coming up on Jimmy Fallon. Is this a good move or a bad move? And how do you think it will affect him afterwards, depending on how the taping goes? Will the right come for him and say, off with his head, similar to how they did Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Trish Reagan, Megyn Kelly, and even Benny Johnson? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
Wait, the Doobie Brothers weren't related? Harold, let's go to you on that.
Can you name all the bands named brothers that weren't related?
Go.
That weren't related.
Yes.
Well,
can't be the
not
Osmond
everybody,
brothers.
Not all of them were the Allman Brothers were not all related, but there were members of the band that were there. You had the Osmond Brothers were all related. You had the Doobie. You said who'd you say? The
Chemical
other
Brothers.
Chemical Brothers. But let me get around to one or two
Not
facts
related,
here.
but they did like
I
ecstasy.
think
Bee Gees were related. The Gibb brothers. Go ahead, Harold.
they were the
Sorry.
Bee Gees. What were they? The Bee Gees?
Well, they weren't called the something brothers, but they were brothers.
Brothers
they
Gibb.
were related.
The Brothers Gibb.
That's
the
how they
brother, and the
started.
Brothers Johnson. I think.
Yes.
I think they might have been brothers too. But let's
Strawberry
get-
23.
So this story here, we've talked about it a few times, should not surprise anyone. Greg, I think you nailed it. And I didn't know the Fallon thing. That is a great thing. He's actually a great guy, too. Two, you had a great line in the last thing. You said that Democrats look for the parachute. You know, they're going to get one over the profession, so it doesn't matter. I think Democrats, after staying with your analogy, all of these guys, so many of the people who are being critical of what's happening over the last year, 2 years, particularly the last 6 or 7 months, seems so personal and it gets petty. As opposed to, and it seems asinine, as opposed to offering answers. I think if you're going to have people on your show and you're so confident in your own answer, have someone from the other side on. That to me was the most illuminating thing. No, Jesse's point about the View having 102 guests and not one guest that might differ from them.
Have Laura Loomer on.
You can have people on whom you disagree with and have a reasonable, forceful, robust debate and walk away from it liking them and still disagreeing with them. How do you think I get along with Jesse so well?
The man makes a great point. And I'm not sure who he is exactly, but I do feel like the left and hardcore uber progressives vote blue, no matter who Democrats, are just incapable of reasoning, debate, perspective, and honest conversation and discussion. It's always their way or the highway. And they won't even take 2 seconds to consider anything outside of their own beliefs, or better yet, indoctrination and cult-like ideology. And in fact, there's a well-known quote attributed to a Greek philosopher. I think his name is Epictetus. He said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This emphasizes the value of listening over speaking to gain knowledge and understanding.
It is a business, Kennedy.
That's right,
these
Jesse.
people can't take this so seriously. Sometimes you get let go.
Yes, I know, Jesse. I know this firsthand. But guess what? I'm still here. I work hard, and I have a big smile on my face because the work is rewarding. And you have people like Seth Meyers. We talked about this on Greg's show last night, who said that if his show is canceled, he is going to have a mental health crisis. That says a lot more about him than it does the state of media. And if you haven't seen this coming, then you should probably dig up Miss Cleo and have a conversation with her, because this was about the most obvious thing in the world. It is an outdated model that has not made money for a long, long time. But the people in those few posts feel entitled to be there.
Away, denaturalizing. That's Idi Amin behavior. There's a black fascist that you can compare him to.
Okay, let's move on to, I want to just play a clip of when you lost your job at MSNBC. Let's watch this.
My show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV. And I say this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. And that it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you. Where I land is that the moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young baby or a mom or a dad that was killed, or when we opened up people's eyes to the fact that Asian Americans were being targeted and not just Black folks, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing but come to this country like my parents did and try to make a life and defended them, or whether we've talked about what the president is doing that is subversive to the Constitution, that is injurious to our liberty, defending books that people find inconvenient, that Nicole Hannah-Jones put into our spirit, that we need to understand 1619 as the real founding of this country, whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. I'm a church girl too. And
I don't know how you can sit there and claim blatantly, bald face, no pun intended, just lie to people and say you're God-fearing when all you do is race bait and promote gender mutilation and trans propaganda to be pushed onto little babies right here in your own country.
Those are the things that I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
Now, look, you're perfectly entitled to be proud of your show. Many people enjoyed your show for many years. A lot of people at NBC were briefing that the reason was declining ratings post the election, a 47% decrease in your election, in ratings from pre-election. Now, Joy, look, let's be honest. I don't think you were fired after all those years because of your skin color or because you're a black woman. I think you were fired because your show just got increasingly unpopular. It happens all the time in TV. That's why you got let go. Why play the race card?
First of all, I love the fact that your play the race card is your version of the race card. You literally are so fixated on trying to racialize conversations with me, Piers, that I find it actually quite charming.
You racialize more conversations in your tenure at MSNBC than any host in history.
All right, Mark. All right, Piers.
And that's just one example that comes to mind. But I'm willing to bet 2025, 2026 are going to be the years of reckoning, reversals, and a return back to common sense, values, morals, and sound judgment.
And I will say this, because money is the bottom line. Jimmy Fallon must be worth $100 million if he's having you on. That is the only reason, because in any other climate, he would have been terrified for the backlash. But it just goes to show he's got generational money where he can fly the bird and have a great time. And I hope he does, because he is the last person standing in late night, other than you, of course, Sunshine, who actually brings joy and hard work to his job.
Or maybe Lorne Michaels, who still runs that show, could see the writing on the wall and said, book Gutfeld.
Yeah, well, that would be a smart move, wouldn't it?
And that would be a smart move, especially after the stunt he pulled during the election with knowingly having Kamala Harris on SNL with Maya Rudolph.
And do you think that Trump ended up getting the better end of the deal there in terms of coverage?
I think so, because now we get to run our ads, which are the best hard-hitting ads in the business on this network. But it's not surprising that they did not reach out to us, and they truly didn't. We all checked our inboxes to make sure we didn't miss an email, and they did not reach out at all. And I think it speaks volumes that Kamala Harris skipped a meeting with voters in Detroit, Michigan, to divert her plane and head to New York City to do this SNL skit, which, by the way, looked very similar to President Trump's former SNL skit with Jimmy Kimmel. So not only has Kamala Harris been copying President Trump's policy plans this election, she's now plagiarizing this last-minute skit. But it's okay with us. President Trump has been dominating the headlines and getting his message out to real voters on the ground, not some elitists who watch SNL on a Saturday night.
Can you give us a sense of your internal polling at the campaign and how that is making or influencing your decisions on what to do over the next 9 days?
So, to be very frank with you, my internal polling is my instinct. I let the campaign people deal with all that other stuff.
Kamala Harris has terrible instinct. Talk about dodging a bullet, right? Can you imagine? Just think, Kamala Harris relying on her instinct while carrying launch codes for a nuclear football. Yeah. And thank God for that immigration and border crossing slide in Butler, Pennsylvania last July, right? But the Democrats, NBC, Lorne Michaels, they don't play fair. Cheat to win is their motto, and they don't care how many lives or whose it is that dies in order to maintain power. A power they like to disguise as democracy. Brendan Carr at the FCC shared this tweet, and it says, "This is a clear and blatant effort to evade the FCC's equal time rule. The purpose of the rule is to avoid exactly this type of biased and partisan conduct. A licensed broadcaster using the public airways to exert its influence for one candidate on the eve of an election. Unless, of course, the broadcaster offered equal time to other qualifying campaigns, which Caroline Leavitt clearly pointed out they didn't. But you know what? It didn't matter. There's no way Kamala Harris is going to win a fair election. Even if they tried importing 10 million illegals to try and get it done.
There's a really interesting thing that's been floating around on social media. Johnny Carson being interviewed by Mike Wallace. I don't know if anyone saw it, but it's really interesting. And he talks about why, Mike Wallace is like, why don't you take on the tough topics? And he's like, because that's not what I do. That's not what Jack Benny did. That's not what the greats do. And he said, the minute I do that, I'm going to have to weigh in on everything. And then I'm going to lose half my audience. So the other thing I found very striking is, that just these behemoth institutions in broadcast television, that you have 200 employees on that show. Like, I don't know how many we have about 10. We do an hour show every day of the week and a lot of other segments on other shows. And so working that way is impossible. When I covered the Pope's funeral, I ran into an old friend of mine who worked at CBS. He goes, hey, how many people you guys have here for the Pope's funeral? I was like, well, there's me, there's a booker, there's a producer. How many do you have? 100. What? He said, we have 100 people in Rome to cover this. I was like, well, there you go.
We have so few staff on primetime. When someone gets pregnant and takes maternity, like the show falls apart. It's like every person really counts.
Is that why you're mandating birth control for your staff? Which I think is completely...
It's against company policy, but it's about the survival of the show.